knew he would see his family again. Until then, his plan was simple: fight and die well. Garcia wasn't the only one suffering. Every man on the Zodiac had lost someone. He flipped up his NVGs to conserve battery and took a moment to scan his team. Their faces were all covered by camouflage and shadow, but Garcia didn't need to see their features to know they were ready for whatever came next. Sergeant Rick Thomas and Corporal Jimmy Daniels sat on the port side with their suppressed M4s angled toward the water. Like Garcia, they both had olive skin, short-cropped hair, and dark mustaches. Garcia privately thought they looked like a couple of old-school porn stars with those mustaches. Knowing Thomas and Daniels, they'd probably take it as a compliment. On the starboard side sat Corporal Steve-O Holmes. He was a quiet man with an honest face, Dumbo ears, and an M249 saw with an AAC silencer cradled across his chest. In the stern, Lance Corporal Jeff Morgan and Corporal Ryan Tank Talon manned the motor. Morgan carried a suppressed MK-11. He was thin, fast, and agile, the reasons Garcia had assigned him as point man. Tank, on the other hand, was a hulking African-American with lumberjack arms and a barrel chest. The team's radio operator, he carried a suppressed M4. These were the Marines of the team codenamed the Variant Hunters, or VH for short. Some scientist 10 times smarter than Garcia had jokingly called them the Monster Squad, but Garcia didn't like that. Sounded too much like a B-movie. Tonight, their mission wasn't to exterminate variants. It was simply to locate and observe the monsters in Key West. Recent intel indicated they were changing, maybe even evolving, at alarming rates. Garcia's role was to confirm this and document how, scientifically, the beasts were adapting. Fuck science. He didn't give a shit about what mutations the variants were undergoing, or what the lab jockeys were doing to stop it. He had his own cure, an M4 with a magazine full of 5.56mm rounds, each engraved with the initials of his daughter and wife. Waves slapped against the sides of the Zodiac as they shot toward Key West. Garcia's senses were on full alert, taking in all his surroundings: the salty scent of the warm water on the breeze, the hum of the Zodiac's motor. The dull buzz of excitement pumped through his veins and made the spray of water on his skin sting. On the horizon, the islands came into focus. He held up a hand to motion for Tank to ease up on the engine. They coasted until they were 500 feet out. Their final gear preps made little sound over the choppy waves. Garcia dismantled his NVGs and put the optics in a Cascade bag. He stuffed it into his main pack and sat on the starboard side of the boat to put on his fins. Before he put on his scuba mask, he said, "Radio discipline when we get shoreside. Keep an eye out for anything on the way in. You all know those freaks can swim." There were 5 nods, then Morgan dropped backward into the water with a plop. The others followed, one by one, with Garcia diving last. As soon as he was submerged, he pulled his blade and finned after the others. The Marines broke off into pairs and fell into a modified side stroke, their heads just above the water. Garcia couldn't see shit. There was always a small stab of fear that came with the underwater darkness. As a kid, he'd hated swimming in murky lakes. When he enlisted in the Marines, that fear mostly subsided but never totally went away. Knowing the variants could swim didn't help. All it takes is all you got, Marine. The motto always helped remind him what he was made of, how much he could take. Mental and physical pain were just temporary distractions. He took in a breath every other stroke and glided through the choppy water with ease. Every 100 feet he took a second to sight, scanning the water and island beyond for contacts. They were halfway to Smathers Beach, where the branches of palm trees shifted in a slight breeze. When they reached the surf, Garcia stood and unstrapped his backpack. He retrieved his NVGs, changed into his gear, clipped his fins to his bag, and jammed a magazine into his M4 while Daniels held security. Then they switched. The other men were all doing the same. Garcia used the stolen minutes to scope the terrain. The pink Sheraton Hotel towered over Nathan Lester Highway beyond the beach. Derelict cars